Not Reunion from Hell. That's my movie. You think? All right.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, we're streaming once again from Tidewater Horror Convention, and a lot going on. If you're in the area, Norfolk, Virginia, over at the Wyndham Hotel, the con is going on today and tomorrow, and also ran yesterday as well. A lot of awesome celebrities there, and we are doing a live stream from the panel. We're going to tune into the panel room now to see what's going on.
All right, thank you, Leo. Yes, welcome back, folks. We are in the middle of day 2 at Tidewater Horror Convention, an action-packed Saturday, and we have a special treat for our next panel coming up. We have Hayden Newman, and we're going to talk a little bit about the current projects, what we're working on, and what will be coming up in the future. So, thanks for joining us. How's the second day of the con going for you so far?
It's going good. It's busier today. So.
It is.
Nice.
Saturdays seem to be the busy days for the cons I've been at. I'm glad to see the crowds coming out. So for a few folks listening, if you're still on the fence, come out and join the fun.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when you get started, for folks who might be unfamiliar with you, so what's your background? Where did you grow up? Or did you were you always involved in horror as a kid? Does it always pique your interest? How did you get involved from your childhood?
Well, I grew up in a small town called Valley, it's in Alabama. It was literally a blink and you miss it town. Like there's one highway, one road through the entire.
One of those fun towns.
Yes. So yeah, I grew up watching horror. Was a horror fan, and when I was 15, I started acting in high school, and that went on to directing. And from there, I was a theater brat for many years, did theater. And then last year, I decided I was ready to move into the movie scene. So that's what happened, yeah.
Just this past year?
Yes. In February, it's kind of funny. I've been thinking or had the idea of the film in my head for a long time. And I was at another convention, Q&A panel with Michael Bean, who was in Aliens and The Terminator. And he's gotten into indie filmmaking. And his advice, it was an indie filmmaking panel, was if you want to do it, just do it. Nobody's stopping you. So I went home and wrote the script in 10 days. And we went into pre-production. And from there, we casted the movie and started filming in October of 2008 or 2020. So we shot in the midst of COVID, took all the precautions. We shot in Louisville, Kentucky. It was an indie film. I mean, we had a blast making it.
All these years I've been doing it wrong. So the motivation you needed was just do it, and you got it done.
Well, one of my favorite quotes is from a celebrity who she's no longer with us. I don't know if you know her name is Selena. She was the Mexican American singer that got.
Was that who J-Lo?
She played her movie. Yeah.
Yep.
One of her quotes she said before she died was, if you have a dream, never let anybody take it away, and don't, always believe the impossible is possible.
I like that. Sometimes simplicity is key, right?
Exactly.
A simple quote, simple saying, and that's what gets you motivated to accomplish your dreams. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Did you always have an interest in the horror genre, or from the beginning?
I did. I wanted to make something. For so long, first of all, horror films had kind of gone into the found footage and ghosts and found footage, and that's all we've gotten for years. So I wanted to make something. I grew up in the Scream era.
One of my favorites.
Yes, I wanted to make something that was an homage to that movie. That movie was a huge influence on me. But I wanted to make something as a filmmaker that, as a fan, I would want to see. So it's a murder mystery, but the story's there. These characters all have backstories. It's not just your typical slice and dice. You care about these characters, and when they go, it makes it harder.
Sure, and since you mentioned that and you brought up Scream, because I remember, as one of my favorite movies, and for folks watching and listening, I mean, one of the things about Scream, why it endures, is because you care about the characters, right? They all have their own personalities, their own niche, their own interests. So yeah, when they die one by one or they get killed, I mean, you care about them. So you wanted to take kind of the combination of the whodunit aspect with characters you care about to kind of, to pay homage to that.
And there's homages. There's little Easter eggs throughout the whole movie for anybody that's a horror fan. I mean, there's homages to Halloween, and there's homages to the Terminator. I mean, there's so much throughout the film that we just put little nods here and there, like as a thank you.
And this was done in 10 days. You got the draft written.
Yes.
And, well, it gives me hope for myself and for little folks watching to just, like I said,
there's no hope for you.
I will, we'll ignore the audience happily for a second. So I think we were talking about this earlier. So if I remember correctly, you have an horror icon in this film, or is that?
Yes.
Or is that?
No. In the first film, we have a horror icon. Kathy Podwell. She was Judy, the final girl in the original Night of the Demons. She was in the Alice in Wonderland costume.
Yep.
She was on Dallas for 4 seasons. She was the second wife of J.R. Ewing on Dallas. I don't know if you remember that show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So Kathy had she hadn't retired from acting. She wanted to raise her children, and she said, after my last child has graduated, there's no reason for me not to go back. And it's kind of weird. I kind of call it like the perfect storm, like it was meant to be, because I emailed her in June of last year, and her youngest child had just graduated high school.
Wow. Okay.
So I was like, will you read the script? I'm a filmmaker. Will you read the script? She read the script and was like, I absolutely love it. Yes. So yeah, she plays my mom in the movie, and this is her first horror film since Night of the Demons.
The first film since?
Well, horror film.
Her first horror film.
Yeah, since Night of the Demons 30 years ago.
Was there ever, did she seem to she was excited to get back to the genre that she goes to conventions too, and she's known for?
Yeah, she absolutely loved it. She she said it. She kind of found it perfect that her first break was Night of the Demons, and it was an indie horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Her coming back into the acting world was another indie horror film. Absolutely lovely woman, lovely.
Yeah. Any chance of her coming back for? Well, that might be a spoiler alert, so we won't go there. But how about would you work? Maybe you work with her again in the future.
Oh, it would.
More appropriate question.
Yes, I would not hesitate at all to work with Kathy again in the future. Me and Kathy really developed that child-parent bond.
Mm-hmm.
It was really easy. She's extremely down to earth. She's one of these, she's not a diva type at all. She wanted to jump in and help with everything. And one of my favorite memories, we don't have any children in here.
We're good.
One of my favorite memories is we were on set and we were doing a special effect. So we call action, the special effect goes off. it was a special effect. We could only do it once. Special effect goes off, complete silence for about 10 seconds, and then out of the blue, we hear Kathy, "Holy fucking shit, that was motherfucking cool!" Screamed it. And I looked at my filmmaker, I looked at my DP, I was like, "Please tell me you got that on camera. Please."
That will go great for the DVD behind extra featurettes right there. Right?
Exactly. But yeah, she's a complete doll, and I would work with her again in a heartbeat.
I think that's great to hear. And as filmmakers, actors, it's always nice to work with iconic folks of the genre, but even better when they're not divas or when they're actually pleasant to work with.
Exactly.
It's an added bonus besides just having them in your film.
Exactly. And the first day, I remember the first day we shot principal photography, I had to kind of like hit myself for a minute. I'm like, I'm doing a scene with Kathy Poodwell. Like, she's a legend in my eyes.
Like, try not to focus, no intimidation, right? Trying to keep the starstruckness down.
Exactly. And there was also one scene in the film, like I said, she plays my mother. And my character in the film is a very damaged character when you first meet him. And he's an alcoholic and a pillhead. And she's realizing it for the first time as the mother. And there's an intense fight scene between us. And we did take after take after take. And I felt so bad, like in between takes. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm talking to you like this. She's like, no, you're supposed to. That's what you're doing. But it took a lot out. That scene took a lot out of both of us, because after we finished, me and her both had to walk away for like 15 minutes and like get our composure.
How did that translate on film? You saw
it's a beautiful scene, and actually everybody that's seen the movie has said that's one of their favorite scenes in the film.
And doing scenes like that, emotional scenes, a lot of takes, probably only strengthen the bond too, as well with you folks.
It does.
During the making of it.
It does. And we lived together instead of everybody staying in a hotel. We rented an Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
And we all lived together for the entirety of the shoot.
Where did you shoot the movie at? Where was the film?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
It's supposed to take place in Alabama, but we shot in Louisville.
The rest of the cast, how did you find the rest of the cast to work with?
The rest of the cast was all, actors trying to get into this business. And the indie filmmaking world, it's word of mouth, really. So names got thrown out to me. I contacted them. Some of them contacted me, and they auditioned. And I feel like, and that's another thing that reviewers have said, it's very believable that the main group is friends. Our chemistry was there with everybody.
And as anybody can almost know, sometimes you can't. One of those things you really can't fake, right? Is chemistry. You can try. I mean, some better than others on film. You can try it, but when you have that group of folks, and you said everybody stay together at the Airbnb,
yes,
it probably help build those relationships, rapport with people. So when you're making that movie, you just have that, authenticity behind the frames.
And that it shows off. I mean, I as the director, I see it. But when I hear people who have seen the movie say it, I'm like, thank God we pulled it off. But to sit in a movie that you've personally made, especially a horror film, because I, at each screening, tried to sit in the back of the theater.
Sure.
To watch
people's reactions and just
to
see what's
see
going
a
on.
horror film you've made working, you're like, yes, we got them. So yeah, it's a very rewarding feeling.
Oh, it sounds like you, as you alluded to earlier, having the homage to the whole, Scream whodunit aspect, and as you were saying, not just characters you care about, but if you remember, those films, you had chemistry as well, right? The characters, the actors, actresses, they meshed well with each other on screen. You had to, they had this believable aura about them. They actually cared about each other, on-screen chemistry, and so you captured not just the whodunit aspect and characters you care about, but you also captured the chemistry aspect as well.
Yes.
To the whole horror homage.
Mm-hmm. We did.
Okay. Oh, great. So, and then you have not just Greening from Hell, but you're currently working on the second one now.
Yes.
And I know you probably can't say too much about that. What can you say to kind of, get people into the first one, get them hooked on what's coming up?
What I can say is, first of all, at every screening we've had of the first film, the first question we have gotten after the film is there going to be a sequel?
So the interest is already there.
Yes.
For folks that have seen this, they're fans, they want to see more.
Yes.
So the interest is there.
They are already devoted to these characters, and it's amazing. I just wanted to get the first film done. To do a sequel. But I can say we have a few icons that have signed on to do too. Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5. She played Alice Johnson, the Dream Master herself, Final Girl. Jonathan Tiersten, he was in Sleepaway Camp. John Dugan, who was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Elaine Dietz, who's in The Exorcist. They all have signed on to do too.
So you definitely, it's a all-star lineup of horror.
It is. It really, really
That
is.
is exciting.
And it was an honor. I would say this: John and Elaine both. They had heard about the first film, and they reached out to me. So to have people like that reach out to me, it was like, I would like to be involved with your film if you have a role for me. Well, you don't say no to people like that. Yes, I have a role for you. I will get you in there somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're working on the second one, and we're very excited about it. The second one takes place at Christmas, so it's got a little bit of a Christmas theme.
And you love good Christmas horror, or holiday horror.
But yeah.
Will it be filmed? You're going to go back to Kentucky?
No. The second one, it will be filmed in the Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area, Tennessee, because the second one takes place at a cabin in the mountains.
Over Christmas.
Yes.
Okay. I'm intrigued already. And to have that many horror stars involved, or horror, not just stars, but icons involved as well.
Yes, it really is an honor. Everyone that has read the script has just nothing but good feedback, nothing, and wants to be part of it. And I think they want to be part of it because the first one touched on some things that horror normally doesn't. And what I mean by that is the first film, some of the main characters are part of the LGBTQ community. And they're not represented like Hollywood represents them, like the toking gay guy or the butch lesbian. No, and that's not the focus. That's just who they are. That's not the focus of the film. That's just who they are, and they're thrown into this horrific situation that they have to figure out who's trying to kill them one by one. It's not the focus of the movie, but everybody has been happy about that, the LGBTQ thing, that they're finally being represented in horror.
Right, they're being represented, but in a more natural way. It's not the focus of what the film is. Maybe previous films that might have been what the focus is, or might have been, really the central point. And this is just, we're just, like I said, people know who they are, but they're thrown into the whole murder mystery aspect, but it just gives different art, different representation and different art to the films from what we've seen previously.
Exactly, and I know that's what got Kathy. And when she read the script, she said, "This has never been done."
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Lisa Wilcox, when she read the script for 2, already she got the screen one, obviously. She was like, "Yes, I want to be a part of this." And they hear about it, and I'm not trying to break barriers or anything like that. I'm just trying to make sure that everyone is represented. And one of the reviews that came in on the film, and this blew me away. The reviewer said Hollywood should take notes from this film of how to accurately portray the LGBTQ community. And I was like, whoa. I had a reviewer just say that. So that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's interesting you say that, and not just that community, but you look at other films, other horror films and films in general, and taking other underrepresented demographics. It's interesting how you have, it's it's kind of like one of the extremes. You have the ones, like you said, they're just kind of more thrown in there, more in a natural way, and others where you have like the token characters, or just like this the focus is, and then people, for better for they like it or they love it or they hate it. So I said Hollywood should take note if it's done in a way where it's just who these people are, but they're still in this natural setting, or they're natural characters in this crazy setting, right?
Yeah.
And it's the focus is still a horror movie itself.
Well, the focus of the first film is my character. Like I said, when you first meet my character, he is extremely messed up. He is a pillhead because something has happened in his life that he blames himself for that caused him to leave town. And unfortunately, one of the friends are murdered, which brings him back to town. And he hasn't been home in like 10 years. And then another one's murdered. And they figured out, at that point, we start figuring it out. This was a trap. Somebody did this purposely to get me home. So yeah, it's a mystery. Who did this? Who's doing it? And there's a scene in the movie where all the surviving characters at that moment are trying to figure it out, and they start blaming each other. Like, you have this motive, or you have this motive. So,
like, which would happen in real life, like,
yeah,
right? Just like keeping the natural chemistry and the natural behaviors going. Okay.
Yeah.
Would and maybe this is spoiler alert, maybe it's not. But would you have some of these characters, or for that community, in the second one, or is that still being worked on, or is that a spoiler?
Well, it's not really a spoiler alert. Of course, there was not many of us left at the end of one, but the surviving members are all coming back. I can say that, yeah.
So it will be a true sequel to continue on the story.
Yes.
Okay. Would you, I don't know if anybody has any questions from the audience to open it up, and we can certainly still continue talking. Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to know, for your sequel, do you plan on inserting many homages to that one?
There will be homages in the sequel. Not a whole lot. There will be homages, but the main ones will be to Christmas horror films like Black Christmas and stuff like that.
I've always had a saying: you can never have too many holiday horrors. It's one of my favorites, especially during Christmas. I mean, this takes place in the cabin, you said?
Yes.
And that's like the perfect setting. You have the secluded environment, it's dark, snow. I mean, that's all of holiday horror. I mean, you have that environment right there.
Yeah, and 2 is it's a very different movie from 1. It really is, because the surviving cast members, some of their, stuff was resolved at the end of 1. So obviously these characters have changed between 1 and 2, who they were. 2 is very violent. I will say that.
I'm already intrigued.
The mask is changed in the second film, and it's extremely creepy.
Say no more. I'm in. I'm done. I'm done. I'm intrigued. Creepy and violent.
Yes. There is, I will say this, there's a death that even involves a Christmas tree. That's all I can say.
Again, intrigued. That will definitely be different. When we can expect this to be?
We start filming 2 in January of 2022. Yeah, because we're in 2021. We start filming in
In a
January.
few months. All right.
Yeah.
Just in time for the next Christmas season. Hopefully that's the plan.
That's the plan.
So hopefully, coming up in just a little over a year, I can see a Christmas tree death.
Yeah, but I can't tell you.
I don't want to know. I don't want to be spoiled. No spoiler alerts.
No, I want to know. He perked my interest with that one. He's a
Christmas tree death. Christmas tree death. That's all I need to see for the marketing. Don't need anything else. Just Christmas tree death.
As soon as he said it, I got the poster in my head.
I have some ideas what I could do with that, but
Settle down.
I'm just saying. I mean, many ways to kill someone with a tree or otherwise.
Well,
I'm Jewish. I can say that.
I will say it's going to be unique. Something that I don't think anybody's done before.
And Christmas 22 cannot get here soon enough. Have any other thoughts or comments from the audience? If you could, so I have a question. So if you could work with anybody living, who would you like to work with?
Seriously, and that's a hard question because there's so many people.
A lot of people are, and how about in the horror genre? I'll try to narrow it down a bit.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep.
I would jump on anything with Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't care if I have to be a background person just to say, hey, we got to work together. Yeah.
Involved in the same film. Yeah, and obviously she's still doing it. I mean, she went back to her roots, so she's still, loving the genre and loving the field. So I mean, there's, you never know. That's a good choice.
Yes. My second choice, and I've actually met her in person, would be Neve Campbell.
But never met Jamie Lee. Met Neve at a couple conventions. She's always been a sweet lady.
Yeah, Neve
always been great.
Really
she loves her fans.
Yes.
Loves the genre. I think she'd be great to work with.
Yeah, of course, I was getting autographs. I think I spent fanboy.
It's allowed.
I think I spent like $300 on autographs from her, because I got so much autograph.
Totally acceptable. It's Neve Campbell. Totally acceptable.
I was telling her what quotes I wanted her to write. She's like, "Damn, you know my lines better than I do." So yeah.
No, I'd probably be the same way. I think I just have one from her. I'm behind on that. But I have the screen poster. I have the poster signed. But
yeah. I had her sign each screen poster.
Each one.
For each movie and a specific quote from that film.
Now, when the next one comes out, we get to add to that collection.
Exactly, and I'm excited about that.
I'm glad I was wrong on this. I never thought I'd see the day.
I didn't either. Actually, when I met Neve, it was in 2019 at Horror Hound in Indianapolis. And I asked her, because there had been talks, I said, is it true? Are they going to do another screen? She said, I don't think so. She said, with Wes gone, I don't think. And she said, it would have to be a very, very good script. And it would have to represent Wes's vision and respect Wes for me to even come back.
Right. I think I remember seeing an interview about that. And I'm glad I got the script to do that vision justice. And not just Wes being gone, like they had a TV show that came out. And I didn't watch it, but oftentimes when you have a TV show or a reboot of something else, it kind of takes away from the original lineup. So they don't really get a chance to do another sequel. They had a TV show come out, and when that gets canceled, it's like the franchise is now done. But the fact they could actually separate themselves and get back to its roots, I was shocked in a good way about that. I think Cobra Kai might be the other rare exception to that, right? They had the remake of Karate Kid that came out a decade ago. Like, okay, well, that sucks. Now, no more sequels. And then they somehow came back to do it's a TV show. They somehow came back to do an actual TV show instead of a sequel. So same with Scream, right? That TV show came out, and I don't know how it did. I guess for a couple seasons.
There was it was kind of weird, actually. There was 2 seasons with one set of characters. And then the third season, they completely changed it up and had these new characters. Like,
Although I didn't see it. I a Scream fan, I just figured it can't touch the original. But point being, we get an official sequel. But they don't call it Scream 5. They call it Scream.
Scream.
And I'm like, I get it. That's the trend nowadays. But I guess that's where it's at. You can't. And I think I remember an interview with somebody mentioned that it's not a reboot. It's not a sequel. It's just a continuation. It's like.
I think Courtney Cox.
It's actually, I think you're
yeah.
right. So what's the real difference? But anyway, you'll get to add to your Death Kimmel collection next time.
Yes.
See you at a con.
Yes.
Looking more down the line, I know you're working on Reign from Hell 2 right now. What's after that? Or do you have any ideas?
Well, after that, I'm co-directing on a film called The Hag Witch. And that's actually being directed by my co-director on Reunion from Hell and my DP, Sam Hodge. He was supposed to be here this weekend. Sam, if you're watching, we love you. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it. And The Hag Witch is very, very different from Reunion. Totally different horror type film. I was very glad I read that script during the day. I'll say that. And it has some icons attached to it. Andrew DeVoff, Wishmaster.
Yes. Yep.
He has signed on to that. Elaine signed on to that. And it's going to be a fun film. And, I've had people say or ask. I was on the phone with Lisa the other night, Lisa Wilcox,
mm-hmm.
and she was like, are we going to is there a possibility of a 3? I'll say that. And I said, I've been in these characters' heads for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't out for a little bit. If there's a 3, it would be on down the road. In between, I'd like to do something different.
Sure. And then maybe when you come back to it, maybe a fresh perspective on the characters and a little time away just to maybe outline what the next story might be. That makes sense. Sometimes I say it's good to, take a step back, right? And just do a new project and then step back with fresh set of mind.
Exactly. And like I said, I've been in these characters' heads for 2 years.
2 years. 2 years going on 20 sometimes it probably feels like.
So I'm ready to get out of their heads for a little.
Makes sense to me.
Are the people who are still alive. Yeah.
So it sounds so you're gonna keep keeping busy here for the next couple of years then between the sequel, then how much downtime you're gonna have between that and then the Hag Witch?
I think Sam is looking at shooting that spring of 2022.
So one after another. You get done doing the sequel, then jump right into the Hag Witch. Okay.
Exactly. And like I said, I'm very, very glad I read that script during the day.
I'm telling you, you just know how to intrigue the audience. You have the creepy, violent, unique Christmas tree kill with Reading from Hell 2. Now this new movie, it's like I couldn't read it at night. You know how to bait the audience. That's great. Now I'm intrigued for both now.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can follow the Hag Witch on Facebook. There's a Hag Witch page. You can also follow Reunion from Hell on Facebook. There's Reunion from Hell. It's now Reunion from Hell too, but we're on Facebook, and there's a group page as well where people can come in and interact with some of the cast.
Ooh, okay. I will have to be able to check that out then. Now, is there a schedule? Now, is the cast that kind of pop in and out, or is there scheduled times where you come in? And
we just kind of pop in and out. We all see what's going on in there, and we just kind of pop in and out. We don't tell anybody. We just surprise.
No, I like hearing this. Nice to see a cast that actually wants to interact with fans for once and actually wants to be interactive and shoot the shit back and forth and.
Well, we're horror fans, and we make these movies for horror fans, and to interact with them, it's amazing to hear their stories and how they fell in love with the genre, and what they love about what you've done, and one thing that I was very happy about that I was able to pull off is the distribution company allotted me so many copies of the Blu-ray to bring here with me this weekend. So nobody else, if you're here this weekend, this is the only place you can get it until October.
The only place?
Mhm.
Okay. One more reason to come down and join the festivities this weekend at Tidewater is a very limited supply of
It is.
the DVD or the Blu-ray for right now.
Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts, comments?
No, you stole it. Yeah, I it's this thing. There we go.
Learn how to end.
No, I was going to say the same thing when Hayden mentioned the limited edition copies, or limited copies of the edition. Sorry, I said that wrong.
Yeah.
Only at Tidewater Horror Convention, I was going to chime in and say, you got to come down here and check it out if you want to get it. And you beat me to it. So, like,
You hear that, Leo? I beat him.
you are actually covering this panel, and you don't even need me back here. I bet you could be here and there at the same time because you're just that good.
Folks, that's the nicest thing that he's told me all weekend, and it's on camera now. So, thank
Yeah, well, I give props where props are due.
But yeah. So,
If again, kind of a cliche question, but I like to ask it. Just
I think I probably already know what you're going to ask.
okay. You tell me if I'm wrong on this. So, if you were not directing horror, what would you be directing?
Okay, I was wrong. I didn't know what you were saying.
The element of surprise.
Yes. I'm a huge movie fan. I managed Blockbuster. So my age. Managed a Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. I've heard of that before. It was in a museum somewhere, right?
I was gonna say, I think I saw the sign at the antique store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an urban myth, right? Those existed.
But I have been a movie fan all of my life. So I like comedy. I like mystery. I like suspense. I like some sci-fi. I'm not a huge sci-fi.
It bleeds over. Horror sci-fi
Yeah.
can sometimes have a bleed over.
But I like drama too. And that also comes from, I'm a theater brat. I've done so many different things. When you do theater, you are trained to, first of all, you're trained to project, which means you have to yell from the stage to the back of the room, basically. Different in movies. But you're trained in all these, really training starts back in Shakespeare. That's where it starts.
And I think I asked this earlier when you said, you did theater at 15. That's kind of what got you interested in maybe making your own movies. That wasn't necessarily horror, was it, when you're doing theater?
No, weirdly, the very first lead I ever done or ever got was for The Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. It was a musical.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And from there, I did several different shows. I did drama, I did comedy. My jump into more of an adult role was the Rocky Horror Picture Show, another musical.
Wow.
So yeah, and Rocky Horror, it was just.
I mean, it's probably the perfect segue, right? Because doing from musicals as theater, a little more family friendly. As an adult, Rocky Horror, it's your musical. It's a little horror, but family. It's probably the perfect segue into the genre. You have the musical aspect, somewhat family, more horror than family, but still you have the segue right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Still going strong to this day. If you could, so speaking of Rocky Horror, if you could play any part in Rocky Horror, who would you play?
I already played that part.
Oh, did you?
I was Frankenfurter.
I got ahead of myself. All right.
I played the part.
I got ahead of myself. Nicely done. And this was part theater, or this was a?
It was live theater.
It was live theater. Was it? And this was how long ago was this? Or was this back in school?
No, I did Rocky Horror in 2011, so it's been 10 years.
Oh. All right. 10 years, and you were still in Alabama at the.
Yeah.
time?
I was in Alabama.
Well, you say that like it's a bad thing. No, I wasn't going. No negative connotations. Just maybe I was curious if folks are interested to look up the production, where they would look that up at.
Yeah, it was done at Auburn University. It was done by the theater there.
Nothing wrong with that. It's an Auburn. It's in Alabama. I mean, okay. Sounds like we have some question coming in.
So the question is, where can people watch Reunion from Hell?
Well,
if they don't get down here this weekend.
Yes. If you do not get down here this weekend to get a copy for yourself, we are currently taking pre-orders. You can look me up on Facebook. You can reach out to me. I can get the pre-order in for you. And then it releases October 19th. And it's going to be on some streaming platforms. I know Amazon Prime for sure. Not sure all of them yet. Waiting for the distribution company to let us know.
But just in time for Halloween.
Just in time.
You have your releases perfect. This is coming out in time for Halloween. The next one comes out in time for Christmas. It's a Christmas horror. And you mentioned Facebook. Where else can fans find you? Do you do Instagram, Twitter?
I have an Instagram. It's just my name. I don't really do Twitter.
Sure.
I have a Twitter, but I don't really get on it.
I haven't taken the plunge yet either. I really don't want to.
It was I'm not gonna lie, it was a hard plunge for me to do Instagram, but I fell in love with it. So.
It's addicting, and it's good. You can promote your work. Fans get to know who you are, and you can kind of see what else is going on in the genre. So Instagram is just your name, and
Yes.
then you're on Facebook.
And you can look me up under my name on Facebook. I accept all friend requests, but please don't be creepy.
So I was going to say all but the creepy ones.
He just let the door out. You just let the door open with that comment. So now they're going to flood in. The truth has come out, right? Now you're going to get Hellfire. I mean, speaking of creepy, the fan base with these guys. Hellfire too.
Don't make me come up with that.
Okay. I don't want to get my ass kicked on camera, so I gotta, be nice.
Oh no, just throw water from back here. I'm getting old. I don't want to walk into that.
That's fine. Okay, no, I'm excited to see the first one, and I know it'll bait me for the sequel that comes out because again, Christmas horror and Christmas tree kill. I'm just going to remember that.
Yes, and several legends and there's some more maybe in the talk. I can't say anything yet because they're not officially contracted, so I can't say.
Sure. No, that's again, I think you've really mastered the art of, intriguing the audience without too many spoiler alerts, which is not easy to do. So that is, that's great to hear.
But I will say, I hope everybody that enjoys the film and just has fun with it and understand what we were trying to do.
It sounds like I think the audience really will. And from what you were saying, it's a horror movie made by people who love horror movies. It's made for the fans by the fans, right? And he wanted to capture the elements, the whodunit mystery, the chemistry, some community that might not be represented as authentic in earlier movies. So we want those elements to come together for a horror movie that fans can enjoy. Made by fans that you want to see yourself.
I do want to throw a quick note in there real quick. If you think about it, some of the classics, Halloween, Friday the 13th, even Nightmare on Elm Street, all the originals were all low budget indie horror films.
They were. Yeah, I definitely think just being a low budget or indie film, we've all seen films that are, you never would have guessed. If the elements come together, it doesn't matter if they're low budget or $1 billion budget. We know movies that have been $1 billion budget and they're not, it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. It's about the passion, creating the characters that's believable, like you've done, and having a good storyline, which you've done. So really that's what it's about.
Yeah.
I got this. I don't have a few minutes left. Any last minute questions from the audience or any last minute thoughts? we wrap up? Anything last minute thoughts for you? Again, the fans can find Hayden on Instagram, just your name, on Facebook. Again, Hayden Newman. If you want a copy of the movie until it doesn't come out until October, you have to get down to Tidewater this weekend, and he'll be here signing autographs the rest of the weekend.
Yes.
And you can chat about the films. Any last minute thoughts on your end?
No, I just want to thank everybody that has supported this film. And I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to do that.
We do have tissues if you do need.
I couldn't have done it without the support of the fans. And, you know, without fans, you're nothing.
Is that right? And no, that's definitely good.
I will forever be grateful for the support I got on this first film.
And that's good to hear. And I think you kind of touched base with this a couple times. There's really no community like the horror community. People are passionate about the fans.
Yes.
The fans themselves, the horror makers. It really is a nice, close-knit, grateful community with what we do. Probably more than any other genre out there.
Yes.
So it's nice. Now it's nice to hear someone embrace that as someone who wanted to get into the industry and now making movies, following their dreams.
Yeah.
So, but congratulations and best of luck with everything coming up.
Thank
I'm sure you don't need it. It sounds like it's an amazing film. So check out Reunion from Hell. If not this weekend, come October on streaming, October 19th on streaming platforms, and check out Hayden Newman.
Bye, y'all.